Hello everybody, Storm here, and welcome back to Dragon Age Inquisition. In the last episode, we continued our work on the exalted planes, continuing to try to get the materials to make the item we need to become a Rift Mage. We were able to get the third Venatori Tome, so that is out of the way. We now just need some ring velvet, and we have some options that we're going to look into there. We just kind of explored the area a little bit, working on some things. We closed a bunch of Fade Rifts. We saw the dragon that is there, which we're going to be coming back to deal with eventually once we have enough firepower to take out dragons. And then we kind of end the episode there. Now we are back at the war table. We need to collect the missions we sent our advisors on and see what else we're going to do here. So let's go ahead and grab these. Judgment, the magic used in Redcliffe. We had Alexius studying this. Inquisitor, here are the results of my research. I trust they're satisfactory. Your spy master said she might let me stroll around without my shackles if they please you, but sing no false praise on my account. Enhanced cooldown amulet. Okay. Exalted Plains resources. What do we get? We got some rash vine and some viridium. Okay, not the ring velvet we were looking for. And continue investigation. A letter to Commander Cullen with the information on the apostate. The Mortalitasi is said to be friendly with both the dwarf and the Ferelden, and a circle member in good standing according to all accounts. Identify Venatori agent. Get 60 influence. Alright, so to identify Venatori agent, we'll just keep working on this. An excerpt from a Ben Hasrath information report. All information about the 5 bells of Hunter Fell has come back negative. The Talvashoth is not the bard. The elf is not the Mortalitasi, and the dwarf is not the smuggler. And an addendum. We have learned that the Ferelden is the Venatori agent, but unless we can link her to a specific background quickly, we will lose this lead. We must remove the target immediately to stop Duke Tithys from falling prey to Venatori interests. And holy cow, that's an 18-hour-long mission. Liliana? It's all yours. The Serpent of Navarra. What's this? Inquisition agents have uncovered a potential problem in the nation of Navarra. A Deventer mage by the name of Aurelius has recently been noted in the company of King Marcus, and rumors comment on how strange it is for a new advisor to be so closely heeded. There is evidence to indicate that Aurelius is a member of the Venatori. Having the Navarran king under their sway would give the cult a great deal of power and hinder the Inquisition's ability to operate in the north. See, now Liliana would be best for this, but you know, we'll use someone else. I guess Josephine should tell King Marcus what his advisor truly is, convince him to see the light. Inquisitor. Give it a shot. And what do we have over here in Ferelden? Improve stability. The Inquisitor's efforts to close the Fade Rifts have increased stability in various regions across Thedas. However, demons sometimes remain, having wandered from the site of the original rifts. The Inquisition has received numerous requests for aid in dealing with this problem. Sounds like something perfect for Cullen. Go ahead and send our soldiers out to help out with that. Alright, now. We can go ahead and do this now. We have sufficient power, but we're going to continue working on the specialization first. And according to my research, we might be able to find what we're looking for at the Black Emporium. Now, the Black Emporium is from DLC. It was in the last game as well, but we didn't really go there. At least I didn't go there all on the screen. But we'll go ahead and we'll head over there and see if they have what we need. Voices on the wind speak of a new power abroad in the world. Inquisition, they whisper. An ancient name restored, a memory rekindled and transformed into a blaze of hope. I hear the whispers and summon the fires of the Inquisition. Here in the depths beneath the city of chains, countless mysteries hide in shadow in anticipation of the light. Come, the Black Emporium awaits. Xenon, the antiquarian, must spend his days composing melodramatic invitations to his establishment. I imagine being stuck in a chair for centuries leaves one somewhat lacking for entertainment. This particular message was hand-delivered by a cloaked figure at twilight, precisely as the sun disappeared beneath the peaks. My men spied the courier lurking around our outer gates for at least an hour, waiting for sunset, a servant under the command of some very specific instructions, I assume. That aside, I would encourage a visit to the Black Emporium. The Antiquarium's hoard is legendary. Only those he deems worthy ever lay eye on it. The champion of Kirkwall received an invitation once and reported, among other things, a strange mirror that could transform even flesh and bone. Who knows, we may uncover something that aids in the battle against Corypheus. Yes, the Black Emporium has a mirror where you can change your appearance, among other things. Alright, Sarah. I'll just bring the normal group. There's nothing we really need them for here. Okay, so here are the Black Emporium. Actually, I had to attempt to load into here several times because the game locked up, and I determined that it was a result of the mods that I have installed that, like, have high-res hair textures and things like that.
Do not antagonize Chauncey the tiny bear. He may be small, but he nips.
Ah, the tiny bear over there. So I had to remove the mods while we're here, and then I will reinstall them once we leave. Okay, so we're looking for here a crafting material shop.
Do not antagonize Chauncey the tiny bear. He may be small, but he nips.
Alright, what do we got? Ring velvet. Infinite quantities. So I could literally buy all the crafting materials I could ever want here. But I'm not really going to abuse this too much, except for this. We're going to get the ring velvet. Hold on. How much do we have? We have 3, we need 10, right? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright. There we are. Now we can craft the Tome of Rifts. Alright, now what we're going to do is I'm going to head back to Skyhold and re-enable my mods, and then we'll go ahead and take care of this. So, it'll be just a moment. Okay, and we are back at Skyhold. My mods are re-enabled and everything. So now we need to finish this off, which, to do that, we want to find the requisitions area, which I think that is probably in the Undercroft. Maybe. It's definitely not out here. If I had to guess, it was somewhere undercover. Actually, let me head up here for a second. They need to turn in a bunch of stuff for research.
Are there any special instructions?
No, I would have stated as much.
Of course. I'll be quick.
Of course you will. You're a runner. You may depart in a moment.
Oh, good.
There you go. All the stuff's been removed. Okay, so That's one way to do it. Alright, so there should be... What's this? Just some information about this. Tint armor. No. Equip potions. Upgrade potions. Craft weapons. Craft armor.
I'm not trying to step on your toes, you know.
Modify armor. Modify weapons. Alright. So, I think I need to do a little bit of exploring to figure out where these are, because I don't seem to remember where the requisitions are here in Skyhold. Alright, just give me a minute. Alright, I think I know where we need to go. Hold on. I believe it's the quartermaster, which is over there.
Stefan finally died. It was a blessing, really. He's been in so much pain since Haven. He was out of his mind at the end. He smiled.
Sir Morris?
Oh, Bells, it's you. Morris. Sir Morris, I suppose. I am serving as quartermaster for Skyhold and its arriving throngs. Stores are growing, and so long as we have fair coin to restock, you and yours will be well served.
Where is Quartermaster Thread?
The previous quartermaster survived Haven. Where is she?
She had views. Has views. Perfectly legitimate ones if you share them, Inquisitor. I believe it was felt that your quartermaster should be more palatable now that the Inquisition is in Orlais. She continues to serve, just not at the fore.
Okay.
As you were.
We are here for you, Inquisitor.
So, spec requisitions, there we are. So, we now should be able to create the Tome of Rifts with the 3 Venatory Tomes, 10 Ring Velvet, and the Way of the Rift Mage. Craft the item. Study of Rifts is a recent phenomenon, but one that has almost unlimited potential. The Rifts, and with them the Veil, represent the very fabric of the world. Those who would master Rifts must reconcile their knowledge of magic with how the Rifts operate. Each rift must be dissected and studied, and from that accumulation of information, a new college of magical study will be born.
We are
Alright,
honored to serve.
so we now have what we need to become a Rift Mage. So let's go find our trainer, or your trainer, depending on whether or not that's just a designation or her name.
You are back. You are back, and you have completed the instruction. Alive. Of course, alive.
And the next step.
Now there is a decision. You have to make it. Do you commit to this path?
Yep, we're gonna commit to it.
You are my trainer.
Haha, yes I am. Thank you. I will give you this knowledge, and you will use it to great effect. How could you not? You are the Inquisitor, and you will be outwitted.
Alright, level up. Level 10. So we now have a point to spend. Rift Mage, which I may have to redistribute my points. Stone Fist, Veil Strike. You recreate your own fist from the essence of the fade and smash nearby foes to the ground. That sounds like fun. And I'm probably going to want to put that somewhere else. Map to battle menu. Let's map that here. And for the time being, let's map that there. Okay. Alright, now that we're in Skyhold, and that's all taken care of, let's do some conversations that we've been kind of neglecting for a little bit. In particular, we need to have our full chat with Dorian. So let's go ahead and do that. And then if we have time, we will chat with Cole. And one other thing I'll do is every so often when we come back to Skyhold, I'll talk with a couple of characters. I'm not sure I want to like do entire episodes worth of it, but we'll see how it goes. But definitely we do want to talk to your characters often. When you're back at your base. All right, Fiona, where's Dorian? There he is. Dorian!
Anything interesting?
A letter regarding Felix, Alexius's son. He went to the Magisterium, stood on the Senate floor and told them of you. A glowing testimonial, I'm informed. No news on the reaction, but everyone back home is talking. Felix always was as good as his word.
Was?
He's dead. The Blight caught up with him.
Ah, the Blight. Sorry for your loss.
Are you all right?
He was ill, and thus on borrowed time anyhow.
That doesn't mean you can't regret his death.
I know. Felix used to sneak me treats from the kitchens when I was working late in his father's study. Don't get into trouble on my behalf, I tell him. I like trouble, he'd say. Tevinter could use more mages like him. Those who put the good of others above themselves.
What about yourself?
You make it sound like he was a better person than you.
What a mad thing to say. Few people are better than I. Very well, a better person, clearly, not nearly as handsome. Thankfully, Felix wasn't the only decent sort kicking around Thedas.
Alright. So, further chat.
I'm told you have Alexius researching magic for you. Research is always what made him happiest. Perhaps I'll even go talk to him eventually. One word of advice. If he suggests altering time as a way to solve all your problems, give it a pass.
Yeah, that seems like a bad idea. Alright. Tell me about Alexius.
You said Alexius was a mentor of yours.
He was my patron, sponsoring me to the higher levels of the Circle of Magi. In return, my successes were his. I had a lot of successes, naturally. Alexius was most pleased. He and I used to talk over brandy about the corruption, how we could one day make real change in the Imperium. And then he gave up. He stopped trying.
Why?
Why did he give up?
On a journey to Hosburg, a Darkspawn raid killed his wife and sickened his son. I remember hearing the news. He hadn't been there, you see. Alexius was convinced he could have protected them. The guilt tore him up. I helped him with his research for a while, and then we drifted apart.
You mean you argued?
You mean you fought with him?
I told him to snap out of it, move on. I thought I had all the answers. Later, I regretted my hasty words. But we didn't speak again until he approached me for the Venatori. Too much pride, I suppose. Plus, I was busy drinking. One must have priorities.
I guess you felt guilty?
I don't think that's it. You felt guilty because you couldn't help him.
Clever you. I had a choice, you see. Wallow in self-pity or get away while I could. At any rate, he's fallen so low, I doubt he'll ever get up. Sad, really.
Actually, I'm going to end the conversation real quick
I should go.
As you wish.
and see if he walks to a better spot with better lighting. That'll do.
So, I assume you're Talvashoth or something like.
Why would you assume that?
If you weren't, you would have split my skull open at our first meeting before I said a word. Centuries of warfare with the Kunari do lead to this state of affairs.
You've met Kunari?
You've encountered Kunari before.
Kunari raids are rather old hat for anyone from the Eastern Imperium, although the attacks aren't quite the rampaging wars of ages past. Now we're like two angry dowagers who only remember to spit at each other when they pass on the street.
What about in person?
Did you meet any Kunari personally?
None who weren't rushing towards me with a sword. I was too busy running in the other direction to say hello. I've met some Talvashoth in my time, however. Mercenaries and a few merchants. They're not the same as Kunari. Might easily be a different people altogether.
You got along?
No one in Tevinter has issues with Talvashoth?
I didn't say that. Prejudices are deeply rooted back home. But I have more sympathy than most. A personal failing, some would say.
I've no issues if you don't.
If you've no problem with me, I've no problem with you.
A philosophy I've learned to live by.
No issue with my being Inquisitor, then?
None that specifically involve you being so very, very large. No.
Good.
Tell me about the Imperium.
I'd like to ask you about Tevinter.
Ah, yes. Everyone outside the Imperium always seems quite fascinated by it. Probably why they come up with so many ridiculous tales. Flying cows over Minrathous. It's madness. All right, that one's actually true, but the cows didn't have wings. I digress. Anything in particular you wanted to know?
Now I'm curious. Let's see. The Imperium has a chantry.
There's an Imperial chantry, isn't there? With its own divine.
You people aren't supposed to talk about the Black Divine, are you? If you mention him outside the Imperium, people make that face, like you're urinating in public. But yes, we do have the chantry, or a version of it. Night and day comparing it to yours.
The Black Divine?
Do you really call him the Black Divine?
We don't call him that, oh no. In the Imperium, he's the true divine. The woman sitting on the Sunburst throne is some backwater pretender. It all stems from a disagreement over Andraste. Marvelous, isn't it?
Disagreement?
Why would they disagree over Andraste?
It's not my field of expertise, but the Imperium believes Andraste was a mortal woman, a mage. Down south, they say, no, she's the bride of the Maker, ascended to his side, divine provenance, a blah blah blah. We feel better believing Andraste was one of us. Makes executing her less damning, you see. So we elected a man as divine, the South declared war, and we've been feuding cousins ever since.
So your divine is male?
So, the Imperial Divine is always a man?
All the better to distinguish him from that other one, yes. Don't think there aren't a number of female magisters who bristle at that. Why can't they be divine after all? Same reason you never see a man on the Sunburst throne. Because that's how it's always been done. Excellent reasoning.
Indeed. Alright. Are you religious?
Do you consider yourself Andrastian?
The big question. It might surprise you that I do consider myself Andrastian. I simply do not believe in the Chantry. It is a relic, whether back home or here in the south. Something from a bygone age desperately clinging to relevance. It's not an opinion that makes me popular.
Others might object, yes?
I'm not surprised. It's not an opinion you should share.
You did ask, if you'll recall. I'll say this. I may not believe in the Chantry, but I believe in you.
In me?
That the Maker sent you, whether through Andraste or fate. Cassandra is not wrong. You saw that in the future, without you, Corypheus prevails. You are our bulwark against evil.
I don't know. I mean, my character is still unsure about this whole thing.
I'm not sure about that myself.
Doubt is good. I like doubt. It will keep you sane. Me? I've seen too much to believe I know everything. The world is bigger than I. Even bigger than you. It laughs at all the things we think we know. The Maker doesn't need me to believe. But I do. The thought of no one at all watching out for us is too frightening.
I guess that's kind of a redundant question. I wanted to ask about something
Let me
else.
ask you something else.
So many questions.
What about slavery?
Anyone who talks about the Imperium mentions slavery. It's the center of the slave trade.
Ah. That is true.
And? Did you have slaves?
Not personally, but my family does and treats them well. Honestly, I never thought much about it until I came south. Back home, it's how it is. Slaves are everywhere. You don't question it. I'm not even certain many slaves do.
It's not like that here.
Well, we don't have slaves in the South.
In the south, you have alienages, slums, both human and elven. The desperate have no way out. Back home, a poor man can sell himself. As a slave, he could have a position of respect, comfort, and could even support a family. Some slaves are treated poorly, it's true. But do you honestly think inescapable poverty is better?
Treated poorly.
Is that what you call it? Treated poorly?
Abuse heaped upon those without power isn't limited to Tevinter, my friend. I don't know what it's like to be a slave, true. I never thought about it until I saw how different it was here. But I suspect you don't know either. Nor should you believe that every tale of Tevinter excess is the norm.
Alright, is blood magic common?
Just how often is blood magic used there?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all?
That's what any Magister would tell you. They'd be convincingly offended by the notion, too. Of course, what people call blood magic here, and what we consider blood magic, are two different things.
Well, what do you call it?
What's considered actual blood magic in Tevinter?
Blood magic isn't inherently dangerous. Using your own blood or that of a willing participant, what's the harm? The problem is that what's permitted only gets you so much power. And what if you need more? You always need more. That's where we get into sacrifices and demon summoning. None of that is done. Not officially. Behind closed doors, it's a different story. Real blood magic can give you an edge, a leg up against your opponents. It's safe to assume that any mage of rank does it. The rest are quietly shut out of power, to put it bluntly.
No Templar intervention?
You'd think the Templars would object.
I imagine they did, long ago. Once, their investigations might have been sincere. Then their balls were cut off. Too inconvenient. Nowadays, only the friendless are accused. Most of them probably innocent.
No one disagrees?
There must be some mages who oppose this.
Of course. I do. And I'm not entirely alone. Occasionally, there'll be a Magister who makes noise, and then the reform talk begins. All very patriotic. Meanwhile, that Magister will be quietly shunned. Chances are, surprise, it's learned he was a Maleficar all along. Most learn to keep quiet. Me? I enjoy the allure of pariahhood.
Let's see. Do mages truly rule there? Well, I guess we could say yes. Could Tevinter be an ally?
I'm wondering if the Imperium would be a useful ally.
I'd think you'd be more concerned whether or not they'd support the Venatori. They won't, of course. At least, not officially. They'll disavow all knowledge of dangerous cultists. Secretly. Many Magisters will rejoice at the idea. And if the South falls to chaos in the meantime, all the better.
Is that smart of them?
It would be in the Imperium's best interest to help. Surely it could use allies.
I think the Imperium gave up on the idea of allies a long time ago. We've been fighting the Qunari for what, 200 years off and on? It's a point of pride that we go it alone. They'll sneer at the South behind their silk handkerchiefs and say, "You've had it easy for far too long." Let's not forget that the Inquisition seems to be an arm of the Orlesian Chantry. Anathema so far as they're concerned.
But we're not.
We're not part of the Chantry. The Chantry opposed the Inquisition's formation.
You think that matters? Don't be silly. The Herald of Andraste. Your very title smacks of the Southern Chantry. You may as well be a heathen. I think they're far more frightened what you'll do if you succeed.
I guess we'll call it here.
That's all I wanted to know.
Fair enough.
At least about the Imperium. Let's talk about Dorian.
It occurs to me that I barely know anything about you.
Beyond my being a mage from Tevinter, you mean?
Beyond that, yes.
And beyond my being so charming and well-dressed, which is obvious to anyone.
If you say so.
You certainly think highly of yourself.
It's true. I could be more modest, but I'd be lying. Now, what was I talking about? Ah, yes, me. I am the scion of House Parvis, a product of generations of careful breeding and the repository of its hopes and dreams. Naturally, I despised it all. The lies, the scheming, the illusions of supremacy. That's Tevinter in a nutshell, isn't it? Needless to say, my family was not happy with my choices.
Your family is angry with you?
Why would your family be upset with your choices?
Because I rejected their idyllic plan. If they had their way, by now I'd be married to some unlucky girl from a powerful family. We'd live in luxurious despair, despising each other as I waited to take my father's place in the magisterium. I declined the honor, and thus it's best I'm far from home. Less of an embarrassment that way, you see?
What's this careful breeding?
What did you mean by generations of careful breeding?
The great families of Tevinter don't have children. They refine traits, weed out the undesirable, and promote the rest. My mother was chosen for my father because magic runs strongly in her blood. Never mind that they loathed each other. They wanted a son who could become Archon to make House Parvis the envy of the Imperium. They got me. A cautionary tale that you should be careful what you wish for.
You don't like Tevinter?
I'm getting the impression that you don't care much for your homeland.
On the contrary, I care for my homeland a great deal. There's so much potential. Sadly, we squander it. We refuse to acknowledge how far we've fallen because pretending is easier. We pretend the Qunari can be beaten. We pretend that we're superior to everyone, even our own people. Not everyone feels that way. I don't. Sadly, we're the minority.
But why do you care?
It just seems so much of what you say about the Imperium is entirely negative.
It might sound that way. For all our faults, my people have many virtues. We are laden with history and culture. Tevinter is where Thedas truly began, remember? We treasure our past and preserve it. You can walk down a side street and find nothing built during the modern ages. And despite appearances, we care. Deeply. About everything. We have no reserve, not in war and not in love. If I truly believed my homeland was beyond all hope, I wouldn't miss it so much.
Why not go back?
Why remain with the Inquisition? Why not go back to Tevinter?
I'm not exactly welcome back home. Not that it matters, I'm quite accustomed to being a pariah. It adds to my charm. I can do more for Tevinter here. If the Venatori succeed, it'll set my homeland back 1,000 years. I'm sure some Magisters would disagree. But that's why we kill them.
Alright, that's enough for now.
I think I've heard enough.
That's too bad. I never tire of talking about myself.
Certainly.
I should go.
You know where I'll be.
Alright, so nice bit of information there about Dorian and Tevinter. So, we are kind of long on this episode. I was hoping I was going to get a conversation with Cole in, but it doesn't look like I'm going to. What we may do is actually run through all of our companions here. Oh, anyway, there's a quest. Mother Giselle.
My Lady Inquisitor, it's good of you to speak with me. I have news regarding one of your companions, the Tevinter.
Bad news?
Nothing good, I expect.
If you have reservations about his presence here, I share them. But this is another matter. I have been in contact with his family. House Pavas out of Carenas. Are you familiar with them?
They're not on good terms.
He's mentioned his family. They don't appear to be on good terms.
Yes. I believe you're correct. The family sent a letter describing the estrangement from their son and pleading for my aid. They've asked to arrange a meeting quietly without telling him. They fear it's the only way he'll come. Since you seem to be on good terms with the young man, I'd hoped...
What kind of meeting?
Just what kind of meeting do they have in mind?
I believe they just want to talk, to understand why Dorian felt he had to come here. Somewhat private, away from Skyhold, but not in Tevinter. You make them nervous, I think. They don't understand why he's here with the Inquisition. They want him to come home.
And if he doesn't agree?
What happens if Dorian doesn't agree?
Hopefully that will be the end of it. If not, well, that's why you should be there.
They don't want to tell him?
They don't want Dorian to know? That seems odd.
They believe the young man would refuse, and the letter implies he'd have cause. Yet, they are remorseful for whatever came before. This is a chance for dialogue. There is deceit in bringing the young man to this meeting without his foreknowledge, I know. But does it not lead to a greater kindness if there is potential for reconciliation?
Why would they contact you?
Why would his family contact you?
Because they don't know you, Inquisitor. I am not of the Imperial Chantry, but they know what I represent. These are parents concerned about the welfare of their son. How could I not do whatever possible? I would speak to the young man myself, but he does not care for me. Thus I come to you. If any good can come of this, we must try.
Are you sure this is legit?
Are you sure this isn't some kind of trap? I mean, the secrecy.
That did occur to me. What if it is a plot of those mages, the Venatori? Another reason to put this in your hands, Inquisitor. I pray that isn't the case. But if it is, you are far better equipped than I to respond to such treachery.
Sure enough. Alright, well, I'll think about it.
I'll see what I can do.
Bless you, Inquisitor. The family will send a retainer to meet the young man at the Red Cliff Tavern, to take him onward. If he truly does not wish this reunion, he can always end the matter there. I shall pray for your success, and the young man's happiness. That's all we can hope for. Is it not?
I guess that... Okay, so... This is the letter. Probably won't read through all that. Alright, so... This probably is a result of our conversation with Dorian. But yeah, as I was saying, that probably next episode we'll talk to a lot of people here in Skyhold, make sure there isn't anything else that's going to pop up, and add to our list of quests we need to complete. So, for now, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Go ahead, like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you next time.